Here we have something that on the surface seems fairly simple, secant cubed x dx. But after a while we would recognize that integration by parts may help us. And so something to recognize is that if u equals secant x, whose derivative we can take, and then dv equals secant squared x dx, and this is something we ought to recognize as the integral of tangent, and the derivative of u secant x would be secant x tangent x, and we ought to have those memorized. So I've got uv, du, and dv, and this means that when I set up integration by parts, u times v is secant x tangent x minus the integral of v du, which in this case would be tangent squared x, would be secant x tangent squared x. And that is fairly intimidating. But if we know some trig identities, you would recognize that tangent squared x is the same thing as secant squared x minus 1. So this becomes secant x times secant squared x minus 1. And when you distribute this in, you're left with secant x tangent x minus, when I distribute secant x in, I get secant cubed x. And this will be minus secant x dx. I'm going to clean this up by breaking my integral up into two parts. So now my expression is secant x tangent x minus the integral of secant cubed x dx plus the integral of secant x dx. And in a sense I'm right back where I started, because I could integrate secant x dx, but now I have my original problem in an even more complicated expression. But the thing to notice is that the left-hand side of our equation this whole time has been the integral of secant cubed x dx. And when I add the negative secant cubed x dx over to the right-hand side, this means that I necessarily have 2 times the integral of secant cubed x dx. And that must equal secant x tangent x plus, well, the integral of secant x is, what's the integral of secant x? The natural log of secant x plus tangent x. And honestly, this would be one that you probably don't need to have memorized, but should know it exists to look up. And when this gets divided by 2, I'm left with my original expression is equal to 1/2 secant x tangent x plus 1/2 the natural log of secant x plus tangent x plus some constant.